Pointing, butlers, all that backdrop of the hills, it's just fantastic. Yeah, pointing, I always used to think pointing so far out. It's not. Oh no. Right.
Esteemed guests, rabbis, and dear friends, Shalom. I'm delighted to welcome you all here today for what is only our second induction service in 40 years. And I'm pleased to say that our last inductee, Rabbi Silverman, is still going strong and very much part of our new rabbinic team. For over 15 years, I've been working on a plan to redevelop our synagogue. It has been a long journey and one that after so much time has now become a reality. And will see our community temporarily rehoused in the next 12 months as the building work here at Jackson Road commences. We are a unique community as we are the only synagogue in the city centre. Being in the city centre, it gives us more opportunity and more opportunity to become much more than a synagogue. And we will ensure that our new building is used by not only our own members, but we intend to be a real community centre, offering facilities and events for all faiths and religions. During our journey, we will have to work harder to keep our own community together, to engage, reinvigorate our members, and ensure when we enter our new building, we have a vibrant and enthusiastic membership. To find someone to take on that role is no mean feat. Should the position be a community leader, a youth worker, or even a rabbi, the candidate that we were looking for had to have the ability to do all these things. And there was only one person that we felt covered all the bases, and that was Robyn. The rest, as they say, is history. In a short time, Robyn has been with us. She has delivered everything we expected and more. Her work within our community and that of Greater Manchester has been nothing but amazing. Her commitment to young families has been astounding, culminating in our second day Rosh Hashanah service at Jackson Road, which can only be described as the biggest family service we have held here in years. And that's a tribute to the work Robyn's already done. She's opened her home to all, from the Erev Shabbaton services for our toddlers and families, to concluding the Shabbat with family Havdalah services. As along with all the initiatives and activities Robyn has put in place, has certainly reawoken a community spirit that will indeed take us on our journey to our new home. Rabbi Robyn, the first female rabbi in Manchester, which is some achievement in itself, has made a tremendous impact, not just on our members, but on the greater community of Manchester. Today is Robyn's Day, a day that she truly deserves, one that sees her cementing our relationship as our newest rabbi. I'll finish with a comment that Sarita Robinson from the movement made a few months back when she said to me, "This is the best thing I've ever done in all my time as president." It does put my other 18 years in the world in the shade, but today I'll take it. Welcome, and I hope you enjoy the service that follows.
Good afternoon. My name is Cantor Zoe Jacobs, and I feel incredibly honoured to have been asked by Rabbi Robyn to co-lead this afternoon's induction ceremony. You might ask yourself what an induction ceremony really is. When Robyn and I got together to think about today, we asked ourselves the same question. So I'll just briefly share a word or two about our conclusions. Today is a beautiful opportunity for celebration as we mark the relationship between a wonderful new rabbi and a community rich in tradition. Robyn will speak more about the significance of 7 blessings, so I hope she'll forgive me for sharing something that I think that she may not. Much of our service today will bring out the essence of who Robyn is. So it is that you'll see texts of our tradition reflecting Robyn's love of Jewish teaching and wisdom literature. And you'll hear songs of justice reflecting Robyn's previous career as a human rights lawyer. You'll hear from those who have made Robyn the rabbi that she is today, as we recognise the powerful symmetry of a rabbi returning to her childhood community, and hear from her teachers and her mentors. We hope that this service will help us mark this relationship between rabbi and community, and we'd invite you to join in however you can. We'll begin with the very fitting words of Hallelujah, as the wonderful Jackson's Road Choir welcome us musically with these words of praise. Psalm 150 is on page 6.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm feeling quite emotional, so I'm hoping I can make it through what I've prepared to say. So in our tradition, we have an understanding of time, not as being linear, but as being circular, overlapping, returning, and renewing. It's with this sense of history that I stand and turn here today. Once an 11 had run as a sacred thread throughout my life, and I'm still somewhat astonished that I'm now rabbi of this beautiful community here in the heart of Manchester, working alongside my rabbi. And that's why we've chosen a circular mystical number of 7 for our blessings today. 7 days of the week, 7 circles created under the chuppah, the wedding canopy, overlapping, returning, renewing. And remember, you can add your own blessing with the paper brick that you've been given, with the pens as well. And they say it takes a village to raise a rabbi, kind of. And each blessing has been written and read, or been read by teachers, friends, and family members of this community, all co-creators of this rabbi and this community. And we'll read the last line, the Fatima, the final blessing of each blessing together. Then Cantor Zoe will lead us in song between each blessing, which links to the theme before of the blessing. So please feel free to join and add in your voice to the song, whether or not you know the words or the melody. Or instead take a moment to reflect on the theme of the blessing that has just been. So the first blessing we can find is on page 7 of your booklet.
We aspire to rekindle the spirit of our founders, who revived our community after our historic building in Park Place was destroyed in neglect, bringing together people from all parts of our city. We are about to replicate their experience of moving into a temporary home. We need strength for the interim and vision to recapture the vibrancy of synagogue life, so that our new building will house a thriving atmosphere, emulating the heights we have attained here. We aspire to create a community centre in the widest sense. This reading is with thanks to the reflection by Rabbi Dr. Jonathan Maganet, and it is adapted to suit this special occasion. A place is not holy. Only the deeds committed within it or in its name may become holy. No holiness is guaranteed to last, but must be earned anew in each generation. We are custodians of the holiness of our synagogue, which is named Sha'ar Zion, together with all who look to it for inspiration or hope. May we never mistake its outer stones for the inner spirit it represents. May we never betray the quest for holiness, we who bless and are blessed. Baruch atah Adonai, Bonei Yisrael, Zion. Blessed are you, Eternal, builder of Jerusalem and the gate of Zion.
must invite into this community the partner who has turned Robin into Rabbi Robyn, Torah. May you all hear the voice of Torah as she beckons. Come and eat my food, and drink the wine that I have mixed. May you know that she is very close to you. May you learn to love her. Oh, give me the kisses of your mouth, for your love is more delightful than wine. But be warned, Rabbi Robyn's friend is a lot like each of you. Torah is complex. Torah is vulnerable. She will love you and she will challenge you. She will comfort you and she will wrestle with you. She will demand to be recognized by you and to be seen as a wanderer who seeks a home. She will make demands of you. May you learn that each of her requests is an invitation for you to raise a spark, to elevate the rejected into holiness, and holiness that can reveal a pathway towards redemption. May you know that ultimately her ways are pleasant ways, and all of her paths are peaceful. She's a tree of life to those who grasp her, and whoever holds on to her will be happy. Baruch atah Adonai, hamelamed Torah v'amor Yisrael.
The building block for Tikkun Olam, repairing the world. In the sacred stillness of this time, God of eternity, give us strength to be alone. Yet teach us also how to form community. May we learn your sacred virtues of tzedakah, righteousness, and mishpat, justice, so that we may deal with one another in righteousness and justice. Open our eyes, our hearts, and our hands to one another's needs, and grant us the wisdom to work together with those who suffer pain or anxiety, sadness or despair, hunger or loneliness. May we never turn away from those who call to us for our blessing, both members of our community and those beyond our gates. May we always remember the words of Jeremiah and seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you, and pray to God on its behalf, for in its welfare you will find your welfare. So in collaboration with all other communities across the world, and with your inspiration, our God, may we find healing for our world and our Mother Earth, which so desperately needs our compassion and repair. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishar mitzvotav v'tzivanu liyodot tzedek.
The building block of study, and this was written by our colleague, Rabbi Dr. Charles Middleborough, the Dean of Liobet College. Lelamed, lilmod ulelamed, two words that are the key to a fulfilling rabbinate for both rabbi and community, to study and to teach. So simple and yet so profound. A rabbi who studies enriches a congregation and sustains their inner life, regardless of the challenges that their role brings them. A rabbi who studies develops existing enthusiasms, discovers new ones, and shares them with their congregants, infusing them in their turn. A rabbi who teaches opens up a world of learning to those who come to study with her. A rabbi who teaches deepens the Jewish love of learning by revealing the contents of the infinite storehouse that is our cultural and spiritual heritage. Lilmod ulelamed, a mantra for Rabbi Robyn, and for you all, a key to a fulfilling mutual relationship. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishar b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asot b'divrei Torah.
to discuss a rabbi's legacy at the start of their career. It's apparent that yours will include showing us how harnessing the power of community can shape the world. There is a lot of anger out there, a sense that no one is listening, a feeling of simmering injustice. In the words of one of your sermons, one of the hardest things to do is to remember that the world is fundamentally a good place. We are all fundamentally good people.
At the bottom of all your emails, you quote the philosopher Martin Buber. All real living is encounter. When he wrote his ideal theory of encountering people's whole being rather than just experiencing people, he was not thinking directly of Jackson's Road nor Manchester. And yet that is precisely what you are spearheading here with the Listening Project, putting relationships at the heart of the process of strengthening our community as we rebuild our synagogue. We wish you confidence in your abilities and the strength to continue.
As Rabbi Yehemiah said, the one occupied with the needs of the community is like one who is occupied with matters of the Torah.
Let us sing this song for the turning of the world, that we may turn as one. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our turning. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our turning, and our lives will feel the echo of our meeting, and our lives will feel the echo of our building.
In each age we receive and transmit Torah. May the Torah we learn and live bring our energy to our community and ensure that we look after each other. At each moment we are addressed by the world. May our learning strengthen our Jewish identity and cause us to take action, bring healing to our city and our world. In each age we are challenged by our ancestors' teachings. May we continue to challenge each other and ask each other questions of each other and our traditions. At each moment we stand face to face with truth. May we recognise that there are many truths and perspectives, and may we be courageous in shaping our community to bring more people in.
In each age we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. May we build a community that gets to know offenders so there is an energy in our synagogue. And may we continue to bring people together with lots and lots of food. Each building, knowing heart is filled with wonder. May we remember with wonder the cavernous building that we have, with its many passages and hidden rooms. May we ensure that our next building is filled with positivity and be an engaging and wondrous place for our community.
In each age, the children of the Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth.
Baruch atah Adonai, Elohim Israel. Amen.
To bless a community in the hope that it thrives is to acknowledge the qualities of its leader who will enable it to flourish. May Jackson's Row enjoy Robyn's ability to be like Aaron, bringing ritual to the people and encouraging their participation by making it relevant in their lives. Like Moses, inspiring people by bringing them together with a shared purpose. Like Miriam, sensitively supporting, comforting and nourishing each individual from cradle to grave. Like Jethro, delegating to empower others to take an active role in running their own community. Like Hillel and Shammai, teaching her learned opinions and yet always being open to hearing others. Like Theodore Herzl, being a dreamer and an enabler of those dreams to become a reality. Robyn, you encapsulate the characteristics that have been shared among so many of our greatest leaders. This means that rather than blessing you on this auspicious day, I want this final blessing to be one that recognises the blessing that you are to your community as such a natural leader. We recognise the blessings that you are as rabbi, colleague and friend in so many of our lives. We recite these words which thank God for instilling in you these attributes by which we experience the divine. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehalach b'chוכמתו מרעיו.
If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We may never see this moment or place and time again. If not now, if not now. I see sorrow, trouble in this land. I see sorrow and trouble in this land. Although there will be struggle, we'll make the change we can. If not now, if not now. I may never see the promised land. I may never see the promised land. And yet we'll take the journey. We'll walk it hand in hand. If not now, if not now. Tell me when. So we'll walk until it's done. Every daughter, every son, every soul that ever longed for something better, something brighter. It will take a change of heart for this to mend. It will take a change of heart for this to mend. But miracles do happen every shining now and then. If not now, if not now, tell me when. But miracles do happen every shining now and then. If not now, if not now, tell me when.
We're at the second part of our service now on page 20 with the induction ceremony. So I'm going to ask those who are taking part to come join us on the bimmer.
And just to say that Rabbi Warren Elf and Robert Ash were unable to be here today, and they were part of the Manchester Rabbis, which I think sounds like a bit of a boy band. So we welcome the Manchester Rabbis onto the dinner, missing 2 of your parts. I don't know who the lead is, but anyway. And can I ask you please to stand?
teaches us that Moses received the Torah from Sinai and transmitted it to Joshua. Joshua transmitted it to the elders to the prophets, and the prophets transmitted it to the men of the great assembly. Our ancestors and teachers learned the story of their past and incorporated it into becoming part of the story of their time and their faith. We stood together at Sinai. We then watched Jewish life adapting as we spread out over the diaspora. We were part of the emancipation, while we were part of building and developing an enlightened reform movement in Germany. We witnessed as they supported the founders of the reform movement here in the UK. Who taught us to ensure our voices are heard on the world's biggest platform, and let us bring we tribunalism after the Holocaust.
Likewise, our Jewish musical tradition was passed from Miriam and her timbrel at the Sea of Reeds to the Levites singing psalms in the temple, to Rossi's introduction of four-part harmony in 16th century Italy, to the 19th century German cantorial tradition of Sulzer and Lewandowski, to the contemporary composers from around the world today. As we stand here today, our Manchester communities and rabbis, together we celebrate the long history of Manchester Reformed Synagogue and look forward to many years to come. As progressive Jews who fight for equality for all, we mark ourselves out as being a significant link in our chain of tradition, with the learning of Moses, Joshua, and Miriam on our shoulders. We combine story and song to celebrate strong, vibrant, and caring communities who are proud and ready to take their place and to take upon themselves the responsibility to all in our dynamic city of Manchester.
written in the book of Joshua, that God spoke to Joshua as he assumed leadership of the community. We repeat these words now to our new rabbi with the prayer that God will be with her in all her tasks. Lo yamush sefer haTorah ze mipicha, v'hagika bo yomam v'layla, למען תשמור לעשות ככל הכתוב בו, כי אז תצליח את דרכיך ואל תפסיד. הלא ציוויתיך חזק ואמץ, אל תרוץ ואל תחת, כי עמך אדוני אלוהיך בכל אשר תלך. Never let this book of Torah cease from your lips, but recite it day and night, so that you may observe faithfully all that is written in it. For then you will prosper in your undertakings and you will be successful. I charge you, be strong and resolute. Do not be afraid or dismayed, for the eternal God is with you wherever you go.
לא בשמיים היא לאמור, מי יעלה לנו השמיימה וייקחיה לנו, וישמיענו אותה ונעשנה. It is not in heaven that you should say, who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it unto us, and make us hear it, so that we may do it. ולא מעבר לים היא לאמור, מי יעבור לנו אל עבר הים, וייקחיה לנו, וישמיענו אותה ונעשנה. Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us and make us to hear it that we may do it. כי קרוב אליך הדבר מאוד, בפיך ובלבבך לעשותו. For the word is very close to you, in your mouth and in your heart, that you may do it.
Robyn, the last time I had the honor of handing over a Sefer Torah to you was at your Semicha ceremony at West London Synagogue, the brief to the ordaining rabbi was to speak personally rather than publicly, with the result that no one except those on the bimah could hear a word of what was being said. Let me now put that right, and adapt and expand upon my words to you on this most happy occasion, marking the next stage in your rabbinical career. I reflected upon the location, which was the synagogue for most of my youth and the original home of the Leerbeck College, founded by my rabbi, Dr. Werner van der Zyl, and its first students were Lionel Blue, who you and I were privileged to share as mentor and friend, and Michael Lee, who I worked with at my first community in this country, in Edgware, London, and his associate rabbi for 3 years, and who officiated at my induction here at Jackson's Row in 1977, and spoke to me as I am speaking to you. He had been my teacher from age 10 to Bar Mitzvah. You see, we are links in a chain of tradition in which teachers become colleagues, and may we live up to their legacy. And there was, I felt, on that occasion, and I feel now very strongly, a great symbolic power in the fact that we not only we celebrated on that occasion your entry into the rabbinate at my home synagogue, where you enjoyed a year's placement, but also moving from there, historically, the first Reformed community home in this country to the second, West London to Central Manchester. As I said, I look forward to you and I making history together. For you, a homecoming and a new homemaking, together with your family, and together you and I will be moving towards establishing a new sanctuary with our community, Bimhei Rabbi Yameinu. We'll be recreating and reviving community together. You've chosen as the theme for today, building community. And you're familiar with the commentary of the line in Isaiah 54, all your children shall be taught of God, and great shall be the peace of your children. Kol banayik limudei Adonai, v'rav shalom banayik. And you quoted the Talmud tractate Brachot, which is in our booklet at the foot of page 2, which highlights the word for children, banayik, and says, just change one vowel in that word, and instead of reading banayik, your children read bonayik, your builders. Habanim, your children, habonim, your builders. In that year, in the year that you've been here, Robin, you together with the Jackson's Row family have already begun to create a phenomenally exciting atmosphere of this rebuilding, revival spirit with the relationship that you've been nurturing. Your semicha, I close with the words from the Talmud which express my feeling to you and which I hope will characterize your rabbinate too. The words of Rabbi Hanina and Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. Much I have learned from my teachers, and from my friends and colleagues, much more. Much more than from my teachers. And from my students, more than from all of them. Harbe lamadete mirabotai, mechaberai yoter mirabotai, mitamidai yoter mikulam. Rebuilding community is like the way that nature grows, organically, from the roots upwards. We look and listen to the roots and shoots, and we learn where they need to go, and then we try to provide guidance to bring them towards light and warmth, and feed and nurture and nourish them. So may the blessings of Hamakom, the one who is the place of the world, be ever present, everywhere. Inspire you, Robin, in all your teaching, creative service, and social justice action for the community, guide you to a happy and fulfilling ground. In Omar. Amen.
How are we all doing with the heat? Is everyone okay? Well, a hidden gem in Manchester, this is the only Jewish sauna in the city centre. Really is a hidden fact. So Rabbi Silverman has already mentioned our teacher, Rabbi Lionel Blue, Zichrono Livracha, Britain's best loved rabbi, a teacher to both me and Rabbi Silverman and many of us here. And following in his footsteps, I'm going to start with a joke, which many of you will have heard before. A Jewish grandmother is watching her grandchild playing on the beach when a huge wave comes and takes him out to sea. She pleads, "Please God, save my only grandson. I beg of you, bring him back." A big wave comes and washes the boy back on the beach, as good as new. She looks up to heaven and says, "He had a hat." Humour is one of our survival tools. It often enables us to express what is really going on at times when we feel vulnerable. I've always loved this joke because it talks to the Jewish characteristic of chutzpah, being audacious, even with God. And as a people, we've been audacious from the beginning, literally rewriting the Near Eastern law books to include a duty to look after the stranger, reinventing Judaism after the destruction of our temple to democratize Judaism and fundamentally shift how we practice the religion, ordaining female rabbis, championing LGBT rights, and so on and so on. Here at Jackson's Row, as you may have heard, we stand months away from this building coming down and the rebuild of our modern functional building with a roof terrace and a mixer as well. We have an opportunity to ask ourselves whether we are continuing in line with our radical, audacious roots or standing still. Does the Judaism we practice today work for us and for our society? How can we, as the only synagogue in the city centre, positively impact upon our city and our country? Just what is it that we're building? I want to offer up 4 suggestions using the words of Hillel, our 1st century sage, from Pirkei Avot, Sayings of the Fathers. It's a saying well known to many of us. The first part of the quotation reads, "If I am not for myself, who am I?" For many, Judaism is just bagel, blintzes and bris. Our practice of our religion for many has become cultural. It often revolves around food, and it's just what we do. Gal Beckerman, in his recent article in the New York Times, warns us that the situation is dire by stating that, in his context, American Jews are 2 or 3 generations away from being as Jewish as Irish people, whose Irishness consists only of drinking green beer on St. Patrick's Day. Will we, in years to come, celebrate our Judaism by limiting our practice to playfully baking challah and cooking cholent. For some, Judaism is a banquet, where we literally and symbolically have lots of tasty food on our table to choose and pick from. This form of Judaism can certainly work. It's empowering. We choose what works for us. But the danger is that the religion is made of scraps and morsels. It's not coherent or grounded. It doesn't talk to our deepest needs, and for that reason, it won't survive. Rabbi Rami Shapiro succinctly explained the evolution of Judaism as follows, using keeping kosher as an example. My grandparents kept kosher because God demanded it. My parents kept kosher because Judaism demanded it. I keep kosher because my life depends on it. For me as a rabbi, I believe that to ensure Judaism's survival, we need to commit ourselves to making our Judaism meaningful and relevant for us, accessible to all, by returning to our radical roots. We must mine our religion for its beauty, its wisdom, mysticism, and Jewish meditation, for there is so much. We have to use our rituals intentionally to connect with others and the divine. We need to engage in critical and radical thinking through grappling with our texts. We need to build text-based communities which root their Judaism in our words and our world today. The Open Yeshiva, a project which we run jointly with Menorah Synagogue and Finchley Reform Synagogue, is such a project. We empower learners to question, to learn in dialogue with others, to find a nuance in Hebrew, and to enjoy their study. So we start with ourselves, with spiritual tools which enrich our lives and guide us through the struggle of the everyday, with critical and dialogic learning that enriches and excites us. Hillel's quotation continues, "If I am only for myself, what am I?" Any learning, any praying that we do has to be rooted in and lead ultimately to action. Our religion is not separate to our lives. They must be intertwined as one. I felt this sharply on one Shabbat in October when we came for our services and found that a rough sleeper, whose name is still unknown, had died steps away from the doors of this synagogue that morning. Our text-based communities need to experience something like that as a call to action, a prophetic cry from the earth. We live as Jews here in the synagogue, and at home, and in the workplace, and on these streets. Our learning and the practice of our religion should mean that we're obsessed with making connections with others and relationships across our communities and with each other, which is also exactly what we're doing with the Listening Project here at Jackson's Row. Care and action have to be at the heart of who we are and what we do. The third part of Hillel's quotation, if not now, when? Rabbi Ben Elahe, the head of Samara, the traditionally radical yeshiva in America, dedicated to the serious study of Talmud and committed to the queer experience, says that Judaism in 100 years' time will be unrecognisable. That's scary for us to hear, but also incredibly exciting. We are a people who wander, deconstruct, subvert, and build, over and over again. Without our willingness to rebuild our Judaism and communities again and again, it will not last. The time is now, but if not now, when? That's, of course, where the Hillel quotation ends. Yet our teacher, Rabbi Sheila Shulman, Zichronah Livracha, taught us of a fourth line that the feminist poet Adrienne Rich added. If I'm not for myself, who am I? If I am only for myself, what am I? If not now, when? And they add, if not with others, how? If not with others, how? Feminism and grassroots organising has something to teach us. Collective action is key. Here in Manchester, we model how working together with others can create a strong sense of community and the ability to create lasting change. We can't do all of this alone. Individually, we contain potential, divine sparks. Together, we can create fires which light the way and bring healing to our broken world. It's not about charisma, ego, or being indispensable, but always about developing leaders, empowering each other, and taking responsibility and action together. May we work on building and co-creating contemplative, courageous, chutzpahdik, text-based activist communities. Kenny Burakson, may this be God's will. Amen.
Dikoya.
We're on page 24 of our booklet. You've heard this once before. Let's add our voices to the vision of Rabbi Robyn. In love now. We come to our concluding prayers for today's ceremony. And I ask you please to stand for Kaddish, our memorial prayer, page 25. A new chapter is opening in the history of this synagogue, which can only be written because previous generations started the book and wrote their chapters in it. Before we conclude our service, we pause to express our gratitude for the courage and determination of this synagogue's founders, the commitment of all those who have served this congregation in the 161 years of its existence. We hope that the memory of them will continue to inspire us in the work of building a holy community that embodies Reformed Judaism and brings honour to the Jewish people through our words and our deeds. Zechronam Livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. And we together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, v'alma divrach yirtzei v'yamlik malchusei, v'chayachon v'yom echon, v'chayei v'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman karib, Amen. Yehei shemei Rabba v'barach le'olam v'alei amaya, yitbarach v'yishabat v'yitfa'al v'yitrumam v'yitnasei, v'yitzadar v'yitzalei v'yitzalal shmei v'shah v'rifu, Le'ela min kol be'ata v'shirata, v'shahata v'nekhamata, v'yamiran v'yalma v'yimru Amen. Yehei shalom ha'rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. V'aseh shalom d'ruma, v'yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol ha'olam v'yimru Amen.
Breathe in and breathe out in the silence. That represents the change that happened in the blessings. The Rabbi Berger turned the last blessing and made it reciprocal, just as we breathe in the blessings and breathe them out. The blessings that you bring us here and in the whole of the movement, and that we want to give back to you. And this breathing in and breathing out, this nishima, this soul that is coming in through us, that is the circularity we talked about at the beginning. So I ask us, I'm going to bless, with a total privilege and joy, to bless my colleagues and my inspiration, Rabbi Robyn, and then ask us to bless together both ourselves, Robyn, and this community as it heads out on a new journey. But be aware of our breath and the reciprocity. That is the core of who you are. That giving and taking, receiving blessings, giving blessings, breathing in and breathing out. Misha bircha avotenu ve'imotenu, itavarech et harabah Ravina bat Shulamit. May the one who blessed our fathers and mothers, may she bless our rabbi, Ravina bat Shulamit, as she continues the inheritance of building here, of learning and studying, of Torah, of Tikkun Olam, Limod Lelamed, of building relationships which you can see in the shining radiance of people's faces as they look at you. It's just beautiful. Of the future that you are so a part of in this building and the future building, and building a community wherever it is, however temporary or permanent, that is so part of your giving and taking, learned from Rabbi Silverman and that we learned from you. In the middle of the last page, on page 227, please read with me. Read in the Hebrew or in the transliteration. It's in the plural, because that plurality is the reciprocal nature of this, of the in and out. So we're going to say the priestly blessing, and it is in plural. So I'm going to say it really slowly, because it may trip us up a little bit. We're going to do it really slowly together. Yivarkeinu Adonai Yisrael. Ya'er Adonai Karat Eneinu Yichuneinu. Yisa Adonai Panav Eneinu. Yasem Lanu Shalom. May God bless us and keep us. Join in with me. May God's face shine upon us and be gracious to us. And may God's face turn towards us and give us peace. May this be the divine will, and let us say, Amen.
Our ceremony is about to finish with, of course, the final song, Hinumatov, a line from Psalm 133, which expresses how good and pleasant it is for us all to dwell together in unity. And it really is very good today. I am beyond grateful for you all being here to celebrate our community and our next steps. And I have a few thank yous, and I'm going to try and make this not so Oscar-like, but I think it will be. So thank you to the members of the community who I walk alongside and learn so much from. My rabbinic and cantorial colleagues and friends here in Manchester and London who continually inspire and support me. And thank you especially to all those who schlepped from London. My Manchester colleagues and friends, all of you, I'm so blessed to see so many of you here today and love working with you all in shaping our city. Rabbi Silverman, my rabbi, who started me on my journey and whom I'm so honoured to be in a rabbinic team with. Mandy, Danny, Jack, Brian, Jack, all of you, and especially everyone who has helped organise today and who creates and holds such a caring and humour-filled community, which I love to be part of. To our wonderful Jackson's Road Choir, whose dedication and spirit I am always bowled over by. My family, Anthony, Gabriel, Dad, Mum, all of you, the one weeping in the middle. Thank you. Thank you all for riding this mad rabbinic roller coaster with me. Zoe, leading services with you always has been and always will be an absolute joy. Thank you for putting your care, your love and your passion into shaping today's ceremony. Thank you. After you finish singing, please make your way downstairs for some food and drink in the Alexander Levy Hall. And on your way out, please do hand in your completed paper brick to the people on the door, and the welcomers who welcomed you in will be there. And we're going to fix them downstairs so we can look at our collective blessings for our community. So we'll join in with the final song, Behold how good and how pleasant it is for all of us to dwell together in unity. In